Well, hello. Um, I miss you guys, and I hope there's a little bit of you guys missing me as well, and Mr. Brown. Uh, when we found out that we weren't going to be meeting with you guys, I didn't think it was going to be as hard as it is. This is pretty rough. I miss you guys, and I know Mr. Brown feels exactly the same way. So we've been put in charge of coming up with something each week for the 11th grade. And we were told that we're going to make sure that we don't grade this, and that you don't have to have anything turned in, and that nothing that we teach you is going to be held against you in the end when we finally get back together. And so here we are. And we started talking about different topics, and of course we couldn't get around this corona thing for this last week. And I'd like to take a break from that now. And so we talked about what else was there, because our main how about the main things we're looking at are compare and contrast, reviewing and maybe picking up a little bit of new information, and also relevance to today and also to you. And so we started talking about heroes and what all that entails to be a hero, and how do we look at heroes today, how do we look at heroes in the past. And so in my normal style, I can't get away without talking about myself a lot. And so one of my heroes that I'd like to talk about today would be my Grandma Jenny. When my mom died when I was in the 6th grade, Grandma was a police officer in Fargo, North Dakota. And she was just a couple years away from retirement. And she then gave that up so she could come and take care of us. Now, that would be enough of a reason to be a hero in many people's eyes, as far as I'm concerned. Somebody would kind of give up their life to say, okay, I'm going to help these 3 kids get raised up. But Grandma was different. She came over and had to take care of us, and she kind of stepped above and beyond. She was always there for me. She always took care of me. But she also kept me in line and did a lot that a middle school kid needed to have done to them. Actually, within just the first couple months, I learned that if I smart-mouthed to my grandma, she immediately threw me into a hammer hold and dragged me down the stairs, shoved me into my room, and closed the door and screamed, "To hell with you!" at me, which, kind of put me in line when you get your butt kicked by a little old lady when you're in the 6th grade. But she also stepped up and did other things. She taught me how to siphon gas. She taught me how to break into cars. She taught me how to hotwire a car, as a matter of fact, which none of those skills I've ever put into practice, for any kind of profession, but they have at times come in very handy. Grandma then, after she took care of us all the way up until my dad married the evil stepmom, she then moved on and went and helped my other aunt who was going through a divorce. And then she moved on and helped her other son take care of their children. And she was a person who gave and continued to give all her life. And I'll never forget any of that. And it's made a huge impact on me as far as what I should do and how I should be. So she's one of my heroes. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about that. Now, Ty and I started looking around at the time period we kind of left off with, and we looked at a hero that comes up in the 1920s. Kind of fits with it being 2020 now. But in 1920s, there was a guy named Charles Lindbergh who came up and became a giant hero. As a matter of fact, he went down as the largest, the most famous hero of the 20th century. he did some amazing things. You may have heard about him, you may not have. But I'd like you to take a look at this guy, because his life was not pure and simple of this guy just becoming a hero. He was a person who was a hero to begin with, and then he went through the worst tragedy that I think any parent could imagine. And then after that, his legacy became kind of questionable as far as what he started standing for and such during the end of the Great Depression and World War II. So we put a whole bunch of links and stuff here on the page, that page that you get, to make sure that you get some stuff and maybe learn about him. So what do we want to do with this information? What do we want you to accomplish? Well, first, we'd like you to research Charles Lindbergh. Want you to take a look at what he did and his legacy and find out about him. And as a matter of fact, you can look at it through, we got some video links, we got some reading links, we've got some other things along those lines. If you're really ambitious, Carly Bale, this one's for you. And I'll try to make sure that I get you this book. This is a phenomenal book by Bill Bryson, and it talks about one summer in 1927. And that's when Charles Lindbergh becomes really, really famous. But it's a phenomenal book. I can't recommend this highly enough. And for those of y'all who are stuck at home, oh wait, that's all of you, having a good book to read is not a bad thing. So yeah, Carly, I'll see if I can get this to you at some point. You'd like this. And I know you're one of the voracious readers I've got. So, okay, enough of that. So do some research, find out about him. Okay, then what I want you to do is compare and contrast this hero from the past and how he was treated to heroes of today. I think one of the reasons why we kind of looked at this was, just what actually the whole country seemed to go through with the tragedy that happened to Kobe. Here's a person we view as a hero, and look at how the world treated what happened to him and his daughter. You could compare that to how were they treated in the past. How do we view heroes as a whole? And, what happens with the media and everything else with heroes in the 21st century? Next thing after that we'd like you to do is figure out who your heroes are. And then more importantly, why? What are the people you look up to? Do they have to be perfect? Is it just in one area of life, or is it in numerous areas of life? What are all the criterias that you hold? And, what do you do about that? And then lastly, we want you to tell somebody. I want you to go out and actually have an intellectual kind of conversation with somebody. Your parents don't necessarily have to be them, but somebody where you're going out and you're actually saying, hey, this is who my hero is. Who's yours? And discuss, what has happened to hero worship? Do we have people that we admire more than we ever have before? Does our society tend to tear people down quickly as opposed to leaving them heroes? So that's it. Really for the week. You should have enough there to take and dig into. There's actually some movies that are out there on Charles Lindbergh and stuff like that too that you might want to take a look at. But think about heroes and then apply it to your life. All right, I think that's about all I got for right now. If you got any questions or anything, reach out to Mr. Brown or myself. We're checking our emails and Google Classrooms and all that stuff daily. So if you have any questions, make sure you get a hold of us. But you guys all take care and take care of everybody else. And thanks for the time. Have a great week. See ya.